What's up, guys? Lance, the Obscure Movie Guy, coming to you one more time with three more things that y'all should be watching instead of the mainstream media, because it is crazy out there right now. More cop shootings, the whole George Floyd thing, Derek Chauvin getting convicted, and everybody on social media and watching the mainstream media, y'all are just losing your minds, and we really just need to take a step back, try and ignore some of that crap, and just watch some mindless television. So here's three things you guys should be watching. Today we're going to focus on superhero movies, because there's a ton of them out there. Superhero movies run rampant. Obviously we have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DCEU, the Detective Comics Extended Universe, if you will. And they don't do as good of a job. And I mean, superhero films and comics alike have been around for almost 100 years at this point, really. DC Comics, Detective Comics, if you will, started way back in the way back, sometime before, I don't know, around the 1940s, even earlier than that. Superman's been around since somebody could even come up with the idea of somebody being super. You know, faster than a speeding bullet, able to leap tall buildings, more powerful than a locomotive. The fun thing with a lot of superhero movies is that, especially when it comes to Marvel and DC, they like to rip off of each other a lot. And it's always a guessing game as to who came up with what idea first. It's, you know, I mean, what? Supergirl is Kara Danvers. Captain Marvel is Carol Danvers. Deadpool is Wade Wilson, while Deathstroke is Slade Wilson, and they all have very similar powers. Actually, I do think in that case, though, I'm pretty sure Slade Wilson came first and Deadpool was a direct ripoff of him. But Deadpool did become far more popular in the comic book series with his ability to break the fourth wall, and Ryan Reynolds has obviously taken that to a whole nother level. And unfortunately, with Hollywood productions, DC has just never, ever been able to do what Marvel has done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But that being said, we're going to go off the cuff here. And I do want to give a shout out to the Arrowverse. God bless CW, since they're the only ones that can seem to do DC any justice right now. I do want to do that. I love watching all the shows that are wrapped up in the Arrowverse. But here's three superhero movies that are not Marvel or DC that you guys should check out. And the first one I want to talk about is 2021's Lazarus. Lazarus is a Tubi exclusive. If you're not familiar with Tubi, it's a downloadable app, free movies, free TV shows. I've got it on my PS4. It's actually where I watch most of my stuff. Not all of it, but most of it. But a lot of good movies on there. But this was a Tubi exclusive. That's Tubi. And stars Sean Riggs, who's done a lot of TV work. Never really done any major roles. Costas, Mandylor, who is... if you're a fan of the Saw series, Costas Mandylor played Hoffman from Saw 3 all the way up to the final chapter. Detective Hoffman. And then there's Noel G, aka Hector. If you don't know who Hector is, then you need to watch a Fast and Furious movie. Noel G, I'm pretty sure the G is for his last name, but he doesn't know how to pronounce it. So, and Shane Brolly from the Underworld series, Underworld Evolution, the Lycans, and all that other fun stuff, Blood Wars. So it's actually got a pretty good cast. The production value was very well done. The interesting thing about Lazarus was that it was actually slated to come out in 2019, but it never did, and then it got shelved because of the whole COVID thing, mostly for 2020. Tubi was able to pick up the distribution rights for it, and it is now a Tubi exclusive, which is kind of interesting because Tubi is a free app. There really isn't any money to be made off of anything like that, and I don't know that Tubi is going to be doing too many other exclusive releases, and they probably won't do any original productions since it's a free service. But the movie itself was pretty good. Pretty run-of-the-mill superhero movie. Dude gets attacked in an alley, gets struck by lightning, gets superpowers, wants to take on the drug lord in the city. The one thing I will say about this, the story is a little bit convoluted. It does try to make for a good origin story, and it is kind of nice to see a different take on superheroes slash vigilantes, if you will. But it does get a little convoluted, especially towards the end. But the production value was really well done, and the fight scenes are actually really well done. So definitely worth the watch. I hope they do a follow-up to it, because they did leave it open, obviously, with any superhero movie, to do another one. The next one I want to talk about, I actually ended up watching on YouTube, in their free movie section, and this one is from Skylar Comics. It's called Valentine, aka The Dark Avenger. Not to be confused with any Marvel Avenger, but this was actually an Indonesian film, starred Estelle Linden, which don't really know a whole lot about her. She's Indonesian. She's got like 5 films to her credit. Mathew, if anybody's familiar with him, was in this. He played, he was in Gossip Girl for like 120 episodes or 121 episodes or something like that. He played Rufus Murphy or Rufus Humphrey or something like that. I didn't watch Gossip Girl. But he played Rufus on there. And like I said, it was an Indonesian film. And this one was kind of cool. Mathew Settle plays a character that basically sees bad things happening and wants to try and make a difference. He wants to try and create a vigilante, a superhero, if you will, to tackle some of the bad things that go on in the city. And offers basically happens to see this chick kick the crap out of a guy at a restaurant that he's at, and says, hey, why don't you do that at night, and we'll make a reality TV show out of it. And that's kind of where it started. Now, as the movie progressed, they kind of dropped the whole trying to make a reality TV thing out of it, and actually started turning her more into an actual vigilante slash superhero crime fighter. Now, it is a dubbed film. I'm sure something got lost a little bit in translation. The storyline is easy enough to follow. It does get a little confusing at some parts. They did try for a big ha-ha moment at the end with the main villain. Honestly, though, you could kind of see it coming if you've seen any freaking movie. A lot of the stuff kind of writes itself anymore. The big thing with this movie was, though, the fight scenes in this movie are incredible. They feature the Indonesian martial art. I believe it's pronounced Salat or Salat, something to that effect. It's actually one of the first movies, if not the first movie, to ever feature the Indonesian martial art. And the fight scenes are really good. If you're into that type of thing, if you're into the martial arts films and watching fight scenes like that, this movie's worth it just for the fight scenes alone. The movie itself really wasn't that bad. The production's still really good, too, on top of that. So that is Valentine. Be sure to check that one out. It's from 2017. That was a good one. The last one I want to talk about was from 2013, and it's simply called Sparks. And this one was a bit of a hit and miss. I had high hopes for this one. It stars Chase Williamson, is kind of a low-key actor. Really don't know a whole lot about him. And then it also stars a girl by the name of Ashley Bell, who actually does a lot of voiceover work for a lot of video games, cartoons, and stuff like that. Not very often you actually get to see her on screen, which is too bad. She's very elegant looking in this movie. She plays a character called Heavenly. Chase Williamson plays Ian Sparks, and this probably the most notable actor in this one is Clancy Brown. If anybody doesn't know who Clancy Brown is, he was Captain Hadley or Captain Hardley, I can't remember what it was, but from Captain whatever from the Shawshank Redemption. You see the guy's face, you're going to be like, I've seen that guy before. It's from Shawshank. That's where you know him from. It also has Jake Busey and Clint Howard in it. And Jake Busey does what Jake Busey does. And Clint Howard, that's Ron Howard's brother. Talked about him a long time ago in one of my earlier episodes from The Wraith. Either way, this movie, like I said, I had high hopes for it. It was entertaining enough. The storyline in this one, though, is definitely convoluted because it jumps around a lot from time to time. It starts off with him as a child getting the crap beat out of him, and then he wants to take on the bullies that beat him up. Lives with his grandmother. His parents, much like most superheroes, were killed in a tragic accident, bank robbery gone wrong, which does try to wrap itself up into the story in the end. But he basically grows up to be a crime fighter, falls in love with Heavenly, who happens to be another crime fighter. And then the storyline gets kind of weird. There's like a serial killer that's also a shapeshifter, and anytime you have a shapeshifter, it's always like a whodunit type thing, and it was like, oh, it was you, because you were shapeshifted like her or him. And the storyline, it jumps from, when he was a kid to, 28 years later to 6 months later to 3 days ago to 2 days ago to 1 day later. I liked it though. I liked it enough that it wasn't too hateful. It's a little hard to follow, but I like the way it was shot. The superheroes don't necessarily have, the one's a shapeshifter. There is like another guy that like eats people, kind of like Croc, if you're familiar with the DC character. I'm sorry, Marvel character. Killer Croc is DC. The other guy is from Spider-Man. I can't keep them all straight. They're same thing. Killer Croc eats people. We'll go with him for now. But there's a character kind of like that. It wasn't too bad. And I like the fact that it was kind of shot similar style as to like Sin City. Not necessarily the black and white part, but definitely kind of like vintage, older cars, older buildings, older guns. Not a whole lot of huge explosions or a lot of crazy CGI or anything like that. So was worth the watch. It wasn't too hateful. Probably the least ranked one on this list. If I had to rank them, honestly, Valentine kind of surprised me. I'd probably watch that one, then Lazarus, and then Sparks. So, and I do want to give one more shout out to a couple of guys that I've met online that have kind of been a little bit of an inspiration for me. But Louis Matos, what do they call themselves? The Mustache and the Beard. They run a YouTube channel and a website. They kind of do the same thing I do, but to a much larger degree. But they've kind of been a source of inspiration for me, and I want to give a shout out to them. I like watching their videos. They do a lot of cool takes on some really vintage and old school stuff, even a little bit more obscure than what I do. My obscure stuff's a little bit more modern than theirs, but I really like what they do. And again, it's really just to try and get people to pay attention to something else other than what's mainstream media keeps telling you, and all the arguing and bickering going on, and just the debates with everything. So shout out to them. I hope they watch this video. I hope everybody else does. Guys, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check me out on Facebook. Share this video with your friends. I would love it if I could get some more likes, maybe get it up to 50 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I'm not shooting for the high hopes, man. I just like a nice round number. And as a side note, I want to know what your favorite superhero is. Tell me in the comments below. My favorite superhero of all time is Artie. Artie, the strongest man in the world. If anybody doesn't get that, I'm sorry to hear that, but you should go back and watch The Adventures of Pete and Pete. Artie was the man. So, guys, like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Check me out on Facebook, and I'll see you guys in the next video.